What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We are a group of guys helping each other make progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to rhomasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team. All right, we are live now. Let's do it, guys. We have Mr. Larry Olsen and we've got Brent on here, and we're going to do a live coaching session. And Brent's going to be the guinea pig. I'm going to be the observer. So Ray, at the recommendation of Ray, and for all you guys listening or listening to this cast recording, unfortunately, Ray's father is being read his last rites probably right about now. So our thoughts and prayers are going out to Ray. If anybody wants to send him a message on the Discord, that'd be awesome. All right, cool. Let's do it. Larry, I will let you take it. And again, we're doing a live coaching session between Brent and Larry.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone, and good morning, Brent. We're going to do, as Wes mentioned, the coaching, which is basically, in this particular situation, based on helping someone establish their vision, what it is they want to have happen in their lives, and then take a look at the perceived obstacles that may be standing in the way, and then coming up with a plan of action on overcoming those obstacles. And as we go through this, I will also share a little behind the scenes as to why I asked that particular question and why I did the follow-ups that I did, so that you have a little more understanding of the reasoning behind the process. And Brent has been kind enough to offer his life for us to kind of have unfold in the front of all of us. And since this is being recorded and it has other viewers, there's a confidentiality element that comes into play. And since it's being recorded in front of others, there's only so much depth that Brent will be comfortable sharing, and that's to be understood. And so when I feel like I'm getting close to that, I will back off. If it was just he and I would continue to pursue. And depending on the comfort of Brent, when you get to a point, Brent, where you feel like, okay, I've shared just about enough about that, just let me know, and I will move forward, if you will.
Sure thing.
Fair enough.
Sounds
Hey,
good.
Brent, when you take a look at your life right now, we have a tendency to focus sometimes on in our own mind about what's not happening for us that we'd like to have happening. And yet when we talk with other people and they say how it's going, we generally give them fine, loving life, couldn't be better. And we really don't want to share because most people aren't really that interested anyway, right? They didn't want to get a life story. So coaching is a little different than that. So when I ask you, what is it that you'd like to have happen in your life that's currently not happening? Come from some form of pain point that's kind of been in your grill and bothering you. And if it wasn't for that, you'd feel like you'd be a little more at ease in what's happening in your life right now. What comes to mind?
I mean, I guess I'd have to just start, and I'm thinking about it in terms of but you mentioned, we're recording. It's to be shared. In terms of confidentiality, I guess I just got to go with I just don't know how I would make this experience and this process of any value if I wasn't just sharing my story and where I'm at, and I'm almost always very open about it and comfortable talking about it. So we've been recently thinking about this men's group, and yes, things being on the internet and kind of living forever, and you start thinking about employment and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I own my story, and every day that goes on since the start of this year, I feel more accepting and grateful for even the shit and the hardships, as not necessarily regrets. They're just it's my life, and it's what's brought me here, which as of today is feeling like a pretty good place. So maybe I'll just throw that out there, and I can also throw out, just so we don't beat around the bush or go on too much about it, but I am an active member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and picked up a 60-day chip last night, and I feel pretty good about that.
Congratulations.
Hell yeah, brother.
It's been a process, and multiple years of trying to.
Let me ask you this about the 60-day chip.
Yeah.
So the 60-day comes, you're standing there, they give you the chip. What were you saying to yourself when you received that chip? Not what do you think people would like to hear you say that you said to yourself, but what did you say to yourself when you received that chip?
I think the internal monologue and just general feeling of feels pretty cool, because it's not the first time. I got many 60-day chips.
Okay.
I fucking warful, Larry. And for I don't know why exactly, but since the start of this year, January 5th is my dry date. I really just approached it with a different mindset, and it does feel, I'm hesitant to say different this time, but my approach is different, and my reasoning for wanting to not just put the bottle down, but more generally grow the hell up feels a lot different. Okay. So that felt good. That was kind of what I was saying to myself, that, I've got a little plastic thing, I've got lots of them, but the past 60 days do feel distinctly different than experiences in the past in recovery. So there's that. To answer your question about what's happening in my life right now, or what's not happening that I wish was, I guess it's a matter of scale and timing. It's kind of like, if I look at the the direction, the trajectory is I'm on the right path. Again, it's 60 days, so it's kind of like taking the first 2 steps quite literally.
60 days, by the way, is huge when you're going moment by moment. And it's a lifetime.
Time, and 60 Pardon? Weeks. Yeah, for me, it very much is a one day at a time, and I hope to have the same humility in 6 years.
The reason I asked about how it felt the 60 days is because there was probably a time where you go, well, I've done this again. I didn't last much longer the last time. How's this going to go? And one of the things that people overlook when they're trying to grow is what is the supporting thought? What is the actual thing we're attempting to try to overcome? And some of us call it that voice of discouragement, that voice of, yeah, right, who the hell do you think you are? You enjoyed being drunk. You enjoyed having that nice feeling of, I can finally relax. What makes you think it's going to be any different this time? And then we start rationalizing, and we come up with all the reasons why it's going to be different this time. And yet, if we haven't overcome that supporting thought, which is what really is driving our subconscious, which is what is dictating our behavior to whether or not we make it easy for ourselves to be someone who is clean or opposed to making it difficult for ourselves where we're counting down and, God, what's the 70-day chips going to be like? Wait till I get the 100-day. Some of these guys have 20-year chips. And we start getting into comparisons. And the reason I bring that up is that can start to diminish what we allow ourselves to want, because we kind of knock ourselves to our knees and then we're expecting to fly. And so I just wanted to ask you where you think you are now on your own ability to start to have a little bit different picture and appraisal of who this guy Brent is to begin with. So you mentioned that things were different this time in the 60-day chip. What did you mean by that?
I guess I'd sum it up by, it's a feeling of one. I mean, if I'm just thinking about a 12-step program specifically, it's changed from, in the past, and the last kind of go around was probably before the pandemic. It's one of those things like, all right, I've got a problem. I acknowledge this. I'm going to have to do these certain things. I don't really want to, it's a chore, but I have to, or else, I'm going to drink myself to death. Versus it's more, I'm just attracted to it for many reasons outside of just, help staying sober. And that's, really, it feels like a bit of a game changer, where I'm not just running away from my alcoholism, but running towards the common phrase in recovery circles, it's a design for living. It's, it is a way of life that, is the foundation, versus in the past, it may have been, I just want my old life just without the alcohol.
Gotcha.
But I still want, the behaviors and the insecurities and all that, the reason why I was medicating myself, is still there. So that, I think, is the big difference, is recognizing my problems start when I stop drinking. And until I figure that out and how to live comfortably sober, it's just not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's been cool. It's been really exciting, and so far so good.
So that being said, what is it you'd like to have happening in your life that's currently not happening now?
So I think, like a vision. And for me, the biggest thing right now, it just practical living, is income. I haven't worked full time in years. It's beyond a problem. And I'm really excited about, that kind of vision of what I want to do, which I feel quite confident at this point. Really is.
What is that you want to do?
To be a professional creative, and that's, I would look at digital design.
Okay.
I'm such a generalist and just love learning that it's hard to pick kind of one micro niche, but product design, digital design, anything regarding that, have a job in that industry in California, that's the dream.
Okay.
And it's one I've tried to pursue in the past. But again, without dealing with the kind of self-worth part and, confidence, I'm not enough. The first little bit of resistance, it's, real estate in Toronto is much easier. We'll go do that, or we'll go do this. And, going around that circle so many times, and now it's kind of like, I've got this vision is very clear. I absolutely believe I have the talent to be successful, and now it's about developing those kind of habits and discipline to put in the work each day.
Okay.
Hey dudes, sorry for the interruption here. Just wanted to let you know, if you want to join our pro team, go to romasteam.com/pro. You can help support the channel. You will also get access to exclusive content, masterminds, one-on-one sessions, etc. All right, back to the episode.
So, and why do you want it? Why do you want that to be into digital design, to have they say the riches are in the niches, to be able to be more specific? And you mentioned California, you want to do it in California?
Perhaps it's just a weather thing. I just really just like the cold.
Where the weather is not warmer, huh?
Yeah. There's, I guess, best buddy, a dear friend, has lived there for years. I miss that relationship. I just like the place. I've been there many times.
So get me back to why you want digital design, why you want to get into that specific field. What's driving you?
Combination of a Pacific, maybe a intellectual, like purely thinking perspective would be. I think it's just an in-demand skill set. There's opportunities there going forward. Outside of what's going on at the Silicon Valley Bank right now, I don't think tech's going anywhere.
Okay. So that's the practical. That's the practical side.
The emotional side.
Why is it you want it? What is it about it that's going to allow you to drive through the obstacles, to overcome whatever it is that, and we're going to find out what some of those things are going to be. But right now, where is it that it's going to keep you up at night? You can't wait to get up in the morning. What is it about this digital design that is so compelling to you that you want to devote yourself to what would actually happen if you gave all of yourself to something?
Yeah, I would say it's the opportunity, or just when I think of design, just in general, whether it's digital or, furniture, it's problem solving. And I just haven't found anything that I get that kind of thrill, that emotional kind of, rush in doing, especially in terms of a commercial transaction, than design. Like to put a specific example, recently I've been working on a kind of branding project. So you're just thinking of, a naming for a new startup. You're working through this problem solving process, and whether it's my idea or the idea is given to me by the muse, or however you want to call it. But that experience of you're just weeks are going by trying different things, it's not really clicking, and then it's that aha moment. And there's just nothing like it for me. It's far more fulfilling and exciting than any very large full commission sales check I received in my prior career in commercial real estate. So that's the why. It's just nothing gets me kind of out of bed with as much enthusiasm as that. The downside maybe also, or something I got to learn to control, is nothing keeps me up quite like that, or I can't turn it off because it's just all consuming. But in a good way, if I can be on it to control it, not taking that over not going to bed is what I mean. Yeah.
Okay.
As long as I'm taking care of myself and doing it in a healthy way, I think there's value in having that, passion, for lack of a better word. But it just does it for me on that emotional level.
How would you describe, so that others can understand? We've all heard what an aha moment is. We all can come up in our own mind with what that feels like for us. What is that? And it's so unfortunate that we have such few words to describe our feelings. It tells us a lot about ourselves as a species, in a societal perspective, what we're willing to share. We don't have many words for that. We got a lot of words for suffering and pain. And so how would you describe to someone, you got a little 5-year-old that goes, hey, Daddy, what's an aha moment? What would you tell him?
Joy is probably what comes to mind. It is
What's joy? What's joy feel like, Dad?
there's a fast increase in energy, clarity of thought. You know, heart rate is even up. Yeah, and I would consider that, as an emotion versus it's happiness. What's happiness? But it really is a feeling of, I don't know, uplifting, excited. There's an excitement to it.
Okay. And you mentioned a term that we all, almost in our society, have beaten to death, and it is apparently the number one goal of mankind, and that's happiness. What on earth does that mean to you, happiness? And why would anyone want it?
Good question. Yeah, for me, it's like one of those non-word words. It's overused. It's so vague. For me, when I think of happiness, there's something very temporary about it, superficial perhaps. It's dependent on other external things. Great when it happens, but the way I view it, and I think it gets back to maybe a psychology and approach to life that I've had most of my life, that's really caused a lot of pain, is that the idea that I should be happy all the time, that the goal of my life is just to be entertained. Maybe that's a good way of for how I phrase it or think about it. Happiness is more like entertainment versus a contented, just being content and at peace, is it has more deeper kind of thing.
Okay. The way you describe it, you've almost talked.
I can be unhappy, but still content at the same time.
Okay. All right. So when you talk about this aha moment that you get this joy from, and this sense of excitement, and this you also brought up the challenges that it brings, and this is interesting, and I want you to challenge yourself when I ask you how you're going to feel when you have this digital design and it's become infectious, and you're rolling now, and you're in this state of flow, and you're feeling these great feelings inside until you have to start defining them, and then you almost talk me out of happiness. So we always go back. Our past is very familiar and our future is predictable. So where we attempt to get so that we can make growth occur is this thing called the present. And in the present is creative, it's unknown, it's something that we are making up right now as you and I speak. And if we don't have someone else asking questions of us, we keep relating that to the past, don't we? And that's where we're trying to move away from. I don't want this kind of happiness. Happiness is kind of a term beaten to death, and yet it's something that you've been yearning for, because it beats the opposite of that. And so you have a pretty clear sense of what it is you want, but we're finding that that's not necessarily enough, because would you agree that that's what you want, is this digital specificity in design for the niche, and then the fact that that'll be able to keep this emotion and this sense of intellectual pursuit and joy that you feel? Is that what would you say that's what you want?
Absolutely. Although now there's something else that's coming to mind, and I think it's in terms of like the honest drive that is probably, well, not probably. I think it's part of the problem as well, or maybe what's held me back is especially with design or any kind of creative act where there's a tangible artifact. It's here's the thing, I made the thing. It because of its tangible, this output, the result. There's a desire for affirmation, for people saying, "Oh, this thing you made is great, so you're great." And the opposite is very much true for me. That if my work isn't just mind blowing, amazing, then I'm less than. But that is absolutely, if I'm honest, part of the drive is, I want the kudos.
Yeah. So let's peel that just a sec to see if this makes any sense. You want the kudos because that'll give you some ability to say, I must be worthy. Maybe I have some talent. I'm sure you're pretty convinced that there's some people out there that are, if you're a 3, they're a 10. Would you agree with that? Okay. So that's all something that every single human being fights is to stop overlooking themselves and recognize the creative entity that you are, Brent. There's no one with your genetic blueprint or fingerprint. There's no reason why you have to compare yourself to another human being other than it's a learned behavior. And even though as unfulfilling as it is, how long does it take for you to realize that you don't believe anymore all those positive things that were said about you from other people? How long does that take before that wears off?
Oh yeah, that shine wears off pretty quick.
So
a couple of days.
So if I was to ask you, so how's that working for you, getting validation from people other than yourself? What would you say?
Good.
Not so good. But what would you do if you're watching a football game and they keep running the same play? What would you think of the coach?
Fairly incompetent. Not a football guy.
We really like that play though. We really like that play. We spent our life developing that play. If I play it long enough, it ultimately has got to work for me, doesn't it? What would you say?
Yeah, I guess it's like the knowing and the feeling, or that. So I've just heard so many times from sources and people I respect, especially in a creative endeavor, but sports is a great example as well of people who you might think are top of their game, upper echelons of their chosen profession, and they are still constantly struggling and racked with this sense of not being good enough, or a one-hit wonder, if they're a musician. So it's you can look at it's the same idea of a certain level of wealth, lifestyle, like if I get the yacht, I'll be happy. But you hear all these stories of the miserable billionaires, because there's always a guy with a bigger yacht coming up behind you. So it's like I know it inherently doesn't work, and yet you're still driven to pursue that very material kind of reward and the external validation, even though you kind of got the memo like this isn't going to work. And it's an interesting question. Is that, do you keep pursuing it because there's something innate in me, or is it just the society and advertising? I don't know. It's kind of like, but I feel I'm on the right track of listening to those voices that I hear on podcasts or like yourself. It's not going to work. Stop doing it. But that's kind of a core, I think, problem for me in the past, and will continue to be a big struggle, is looking for that external validation beyond doing it because of the fulfillment that I just love the experience and discovery.
Our goal in this session that we're having right now is not for you to overcome not looking for validation, but to be aware of that's a one-trick pony. And you've already experienced in your life what happens when you are looking for validation outside of yourself. Certainly you need the feedback to see what's marketable and what people are looking for and need. The challenge we get is when we start comparing ourselves to the other people that offer that as well. And now we start to lose bringing our own brand and our uniqueness and our own sense of how we perceive the world, which is totally unique from how everybody else perceives it. So this is the next question. You know, I asked these questions of what do you want and how's it going to feel to simply allow you to see how challenging that can be, to think that we have such a clear picture and that we're no longer running away from something, we're moving towards something. This is all, again, programming that we've heard that this is what we need to be doing, is we need to be running towards something, not away from something. That the bottom line is we're still running. And that can be exhausting. It can wear you out. And then when we don't get the reward at the end of the run, what the hell was the use? You know, how many more 60-day chips am I going to get? Well, it's different this time. And so we're having this conversation simply to ask you, when you get to this point, what situation, thought, or feeling do you think is keeping you from being able to own the fact that you are the resolution for other organizations out there that are looking for someone to assist them in their digital design, their brand, that whatever it is that you offer? What is the situation, thought, or feeling that keeps the doubt away? Let's just use that term. What is it that keeps
doubt away?
Or that what keeps, it doesn't keep the doubt away, but it keeps opening the gate for the doubt to come in. I apologize, I phrased that wrong.
Situation, thought, or thinking. I think the lack of experience, but not experience just in the sense of having put in X amount of time. I guess you'd be like, I am a junior designer. Only been just kind of starting this. I've had a lot of education and Masters of Architecture and lots of digital design boot camps. But in terms of doing it for a living, it's a much different thing than your theoretical personal projects. When there's a timeline and a budget and constraints, it's a different ballgame. So I think there's a practical I'm new, and that's I got to learn to accept that's okay. And everyone's new when they begin something. But the emotional, thing that's opening that door is this lack of acceptance about that I want to be at the level of a seasoned pro right now. And don't really want to put myself out there until I, have that expertise and experience. It is like the only way you get there is by taking, being not so great for a period of time and improving.
So let me ask you this. Thank you for sharing that. Let me ask you this. And I do thank you for sharing that in a very genuine, sincere way, because that takes a lot of humility to be able to say out loud what you believe is it that's holding you back from accomplishing what it is you want. So are you saying that if it wasn't for being a junior designer that's new, this lack of acceptance and experience, then you would be where you want to be as a designer if we remove that roadblock?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Nothing else comes to mind?
Nothing other than a very much a broader sense of maybe self-confidence, self-worth in a very broad way, not maybe necessarily specific to my design skill or expertise. Nothing else comes to mind.
Okay, then let me ask you this. Regarding lack of experience, being new, what is it you're going to do that you're currently not doing to eliminate that as an obstacle to get what you want? Now, notice what I said. What is it you're going to do that you're currently not doing? Because what a lot of people do is say, well, I'm going to work harder. Oh, you're not working hard now? Well, yeah, but really harder. You know, I'm not asking you to run that play again, the play that's not working for you. It's what is it you're going to do that you're currently not doing to overcome this lack of experience, this being new, so that you can have the career you desire and feel those aha moments that you talked about, that sense of joy, that flood of emotion that says, this is it. I'm on track. This couldn't feel more wonderful.
What is it that I will do? You know, it's a future thing.
What is it you're going to do that you're currently not doing? Okay, can't keep running the old play. What is it you're going to do that you're currently not doing to accomplish what we just talked about, that sense of aha, that life that now may be only a wish?
At some point, I will have to put myself out there. I have to put a portfolio, a body of work in front of someone and risk rejection in order to essentially get a job and find someone to learn from in order to get better. So at least for me, just being freelance from the get-go isn't really of interest. I want to work with seasoned professionals and have mentorship and cut my teeth. So that's something I haven't done in the past, and it's something I'll have to do at some point. I'll have to get a job, and that will entail, likely that will entail rejection or critique of, whether it's
Why do you feel you need to bring up what you don't want in the pursuit of overcoming what you're going to get that'll cause you this aha feeling? Why'd you have to come up with the rejection, do you think? I'll have to overcome rejection.
I think it's been so prominent in my life in the past of not pursuing things that I not only enjoy, but want and believe to be good for me. But it's like, if it doesn't come super easy, really fast, or there's that risk of, sorry, this guy's better, this girl's what we need right now. The first hint of that has led me to often just drop and pivot in some other direction, or not even really do it to begin with. It's kind of like the number of resumes I have and cover letters that I've spent hours on and then never sent. It's sizable. Just as a kind of analogy.
when I was starting my life over, all I got was rejection. And when I peeled the onion, it was because I was going out getting a job. First off, sometimes not excited about the job that I was trying to get because I was just going to go get the job to make ends meet financially. Secondly, I was also, and just to make a long story interesting, also what I was doing is I was bringing someone to a company that was going to interview me with very low self-worth, trying to act like I was on top of the world. And, as Emerson said, who you are speaks so loud I can't hear what you're saying. I was just sending this doubt and this, you're going to reject me anyway, so why should I even feel confident about getting this? And these are the things that we really aren't aware of. We're aware of our fright and our fear and our doubt, and we're aware of the fact that it feels terrible to get rejected. I mean, in junior high, we had a dance and all the girls were on one side of the room and all the guys were on the other. And I saw this girl and I got a vision of how it was going to be. And then I looked around me and I saw all these athletes and I saw these guys that were smarter and I saw guys that were better looking. And then I looked again and I said, shucks, she probably has a terrible personality anyway. And I didn't even allow her to decide. And then there was a guy next to me. He got up, he walked across the room and he said, hey, would you like to dance? And she said, well, no. And instead of feeling terrible, because I didn't want to walk across the room, not so much about her saying no, but what everybody would look at me coming back empty handed and what that would feel like. Where this guy said, would you like to dance? And she said, no. And he goes, well, do you know anybody who would? And I mean, he got a referral out of it. Now, I sat there and I'm wondering, what's the difference between the two of us? And one was, this guy had already defined himself. I was still allowing others to define me. I was still allowing others to tell me that I was worthy and that I had enough and and I was okay. When the hell are you going to put your portfolio together? When are you going to have enough experience? When is this magic moment when all of a sudden you feel like, okay, I just need that one more piece in my portfolio to kind of put me over that'll give enough credibility that I have talent and am worthy? When on earth is that going to happen? Any idea?
I think a realistic target is certainly within 6 months.
Within 6 months. Okay. Why isn't it happening? Why isn't it going to happen now? Why isn't it going to happen now?
I guess.
Just curious.
I mean, yeah, I'm just trying to think like the actual, just practical reality of, it takes more than 5 minutes. Does it take 5 months? Could I have something up in a month that's not so great, but it's something? Yeah. I guess I would say 6. That's a reflection of, it's a comfortable, cozy amount of time to do something that I feel is pretty great. But that doesn't mean I can't do something pretty good in a month.
Okay, so what if you spend 6 months to get something that's pretty great and they're not interested? Now how are you going to feel?
Yeah, not good.
I mean, and do you enjoy not feeling good?
It's a good question. Not consciously. That is not a conscious objective, but I wonder myself.
And let's not get into therapy, because looking backwards, all it does is just allow us to go, now I know why I feel so bad. That's my philosophy anyway. I'm more of the cognitive of therapist, in the sense of where are we right now based on where we want to be, and how do we get there in the shortest amount of time, because we can get hit by a truck while you're still trying to develop the most perfect portfolio. and then you went out almost there. And instead of dealing with reality and this whole thing about reality is what's our personal reality, which is our personality. What is that? Is that someone with confidence? Is that someone who is not going to allow others to tell them how good they are? Is that someone who is going to find out whether what their work needs to be tweaked, and who goes into the interview pumped and excited, and then they go, well, this isn't quite what we're looking for. Well, what is it exactly you were looking for? Instead of, well, there we go, I got let down again, because we're still looking for endorsement. Do you know, being an intelligent guy that you are, what the shortest distance between 2 points is? Did you ever learn that in school?
Straight line?
Straight line. Actually, it's a leap of faith. And you know what faith is, a definition of faith?
Oh.
It's a belief in that which is yet unseen. I'm asking you to have a little faith in yourself. I'm asking you to realize you got out of the womb and everything was already taken care of, everything you need. And then you went out there to get some stamps of approval, and you got your master's, and I could have got my doctorate, but I didn't really want to teach. And, there's just this continual as soon as in one side, and it's defeating. It wears you out. And it begins to kind of erode even allowing yourself to be joyful, because that could be taken away. So you know what? Maybe in 6 months, I'll have it ready to roll. There's people right now that are putting out work that is far inferior to what you're capable of, but you're allowing that to happen. That's okay with you, that all this mediocre work is being done because you're waiting to get your work together before it's worthy. And I'm speaking to myself, I'm speaking to everyone when I share this. You are not alone in this whole thing of, when am I going to be worthy? And as you know, Brent, it's not when someone finally gives you, even if you got the trophy for best design, you'd find something wrong with it. And that's just human nature. That's because we're so creative and we have so much more we can accomplish. And that's life. That's why we're alive right now, is there's so much more we can accomplish. And we need to get excited about that and allow people to get what we got when? Now. Because it's not going to be long, you're going to wander in and they're not going to hire you because you're too old. But I got the perfect design, right? I mean, just when is the time? And all I know, and no one has ever been able to prove me differently, is now. And let's not get philosophical, let's get real. This is the moment now that we all need to be ready. Until we are, we miss the opportunities. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
The phone rings and there's an opportunity, and your mind is, it's going to take me 6 months till I'm ready. And they go, hey, we've got this project. And you go, well, I'm not quite ready yet. But you don't say that out loud. You say it emotionally. You say it with a vibration that your whole body is sending out. I'm not ready yet. You even told me it would take 6 months. I can't wait that long to get my project going. You follow me?
Yeah.
And so we all got it down. We all know how to be patient and wait. None of us want to or like it, but that's not an avenue that's going to get you what you want. And so when I asked you, when do you think you're going to be ready? Let me ask you that again. When do you think you're going to be ready?
Is the answer now?
That sounded like a question. Oh, that's right. You're Canadian. I forgot.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a question. It was just a colloquial. So when are you going to be ready?
What would you do if you had a week
to get prepared? for a presentation. You had a week. What would you be doing now that you wouldn't be doing if you didn't have that week? If you could still take 6 months and you didn't have to be ready in a week, what would be different that you're doing now if you had a week to get ready than what you're currently doing? What would be different?
I don't know if it's what I'm not doing now, but I would supercharge it, and it's, put the portfolio aside. That the technical skill is irrelevant. It's, getting that sense of, I forget how you described it, but I'd focus on building the self-worth, that whether they, want to hire me or like my work or not is irrelevant. I do it, for other reasons, independent of them. That's what I would focus on for the week, to go in with that strength, that, because the technical skill, 6 months, 6 years, 6 decades, there's never ending. There's no finish line.
So since we're under a time frame here, and we've almost got an hour, which seems like a blink of the eye, didn't it?
Yeah.
Or did it seem like a week for you?
No, I've had a great time. I can't thank you enough, Larry. It's given me a lot to think about.
Here's what we're going to do. They asked Albert Einstein, what was the most important thing he learned in his life? And he said choice. And they go, what do you mean by choice? And he said, well, there's a question everybody's got to answer for themselves. And that question is, are there any miracles? Are there any miracles in life? And then he said, more importantly, is life a miracle? Which would mean, are there miracles? And if you answer to that question, well, I haven't seen one yet, you're waiting for evidence to make your decision, i.e., I haven't gotten that affirmation to say that I'm worthy. And he goes, you answer the question first, and then you find the evidence. So some people have said, no, there aren't any miracles, so they can't see them, because the only thing our human eye can see, and our eye doesn't see anyway, our brain does. The only thing our human eye can see is what we already believe in. Everything else we build a blind spot to, like it doesn't even exist. When you say yes, everything's a miracle, everything you see is a miracle. But here's the point. You make the decision first, then you'll find the evidence. And so I'm going to leave you with that. When are you going to present? And when you make the decision, now or later, is going to determine the evidence that you start to receive in this moment we call now. And so I want to leave you with that question, Brent, is when are you going to be the best you can possibly be? And what you told me is when you get the experience. And how the hell do you get that? You take a leap of faith. You say now. And then you begin to find out now what the next obstacle is. And the way you overcome it is by not talking about how much work it's going to take, how long it's going to take, what the struggle is going to be, is you go back to the aha moment, the vision, the feeling, the excitement of the fact that you have your own business, you're flourishing. How much money are you making a year? You need to start owning the vision now, and that will drive the rest of your performance and behavior. Do you know how much money you want to make? Have you written it down? Do you know the kind of life you want to live? Have you written it down? Have you overcome that's maybe a little too much, I'm only this far and I need to, and now you're going back to the analytical, the practical, which is the speed of a slug, instead of owning it now and allowing yourself to take the steps necessary to pull it off. Fair enough?
I dig it.
So give me your email address. Or no, don't do that. Don't do that. Give it to Wes. Give it to
Sure.
Wes, and then get it to me. Okay. And I'm going to touch base with you next week. All right. Look at your calendar real quick. You got a calendar there?
Sure do.
How about the 21st? The 21st at 8 a.m. And what time are you? What time do you have now?
Toronto is quarter after 12, so Eastern Standard Time.
So you're 3 hours. Okay.
I can do any time after 10, pretty much any day.
Okay. So does noon work for you? Does 11 work for you?
Sure does.
11 a.m. your time. So that's 8 my time. Okay. I will connect with you, and what you're going to tell me is what is different now, what is accomplished since our last conversation. Since you're going to start acting as if. You're going to start behaving as if. Got it?
Got it. Yeah, I look forward to watching this recording several times. It's been a real treat.
Well, thank you and Wes, thank you for having me.
I look forward to connecting again. Thanks so much, Larry.
Thank you, Brent. All right, gentlemen. Take care. Love you all. Talk to you soon.
Have a great day.
You too.